What is up, everyone? My name is Ethan. I go by Lord Ethan. Hope you guys are having a wonderful time. I'm an Overwatch collegiate varsity coach of coming up on 7 years, almost 10,000 hours, which is a really big milestone, as I understand it. Pretty exciting stuff for me, and I'm also excited to be passing on some of the valuable insight I've gained over the many years, over the many long years playing Overwatch, with all of us today. Today in the form of a bronze Baptiste VOD review. This is going to be from a fellow named Crick, and they mention in their notes, yeah, I'm not too good, trying to get better, just feel so lost so much. Any tips? Needs advice on trying to understand how to better play the game, trying to get it simple and heal, deal damage when I can. I struggle with gunfights, so I know my aim is a major weakness. I kind of don't know what I don't know, if that makes sense. I feel this was one of my more okay games and could not really do much. All advice is welcome. And yeah, I absolutely understand. By I don't know what I don't know, right? So hopefully we can cover some of those interactions, right? Obviously, we can't talk about the full breadth of Overwatch and all of its depth. That's something that kind of has to be experienced over time and kind of, experienced in the form of, unending, unerring punishments and such like that. But for now, in bronze, really, we just want to kind of get a hang on basic FPS Overwatch fundamentals and understanding like what some of these characters say and do and mean and stuff like that, right? So, all right, so first off, just in general, like, we want to be really careful. Your Bastion is doing an example of not moving in, right? And I want to be really careful about sharing this advice, but one of my main sources of feedback for people is like it's always better in, right? So, dancing side to side in the choke, right, isn't going to help your Bastion get healed, especially as you've already moved out, right? So, when we're thinking about just like how our characters fit into the context of the game, right? If I have supports on my team, then I want to put myself in front of them so that they heal me, right? Because I don't want you whipping around and turning your back to whatever's out here, right? To heal your Bastion, who shouldn't be taking the damage that he is anyways, right? We call that damage taken timings. Is when am I taking damage? What am I taking damage from? And is it appropriate for me to be doing so? Same kind of deal with like tanks, right? If I have a tank on my team, which I should, then I want that tank in front of me, right? So I generally can know that I'm in the wrong spot if I don't have that tank in front of me, right? Okay, so that is Freya that you were looking at there. She is very scary. You want to be very careful of her. She can really hurt those HP breakpoints, right? And so you want to be careful about how much damage you're taking from her in particular. And be careful on that lamp deployment. When you're thinking about it, immortality field is really just for you as Baptiste. It's really nice to get immortality field deaths prevented on your teammates, but oftentimes, if you need to lamp your teammates, it might be because they aren't playing in ways that well, they aren't playing in like a very smart way. If you are and usually lamping yourself means that you get to keep the fight going a little bit longer on your end, which is good. If you're living longer so that you can hear your teammates a little more, then that's awesome. And a really important thing to go for on Baptiste is engage in the duality of his kit, right? Again, save your lamp for you. Your hog doesn't need it. He's got breather in. And honestly, if someone is hurt, they should take corners. They should take cover, right? Closer to walls, corners, covers is my expression, right? So always be about 1.5 meters away from your nearest point of cover. Yeah, Emery was behind you the entire time. You can actually hear him a little while ago, and that's okay. I like that you're healing, but I also want you doing, both of the things that you can do with Baptiste gun, right? So if he can heal and he can damage, and I understand that, the damage, the aim isn't really quite there, right? But you aren't going to need aim to break the Sigma shield, right? So the cadence for Baptiste gun is shoot, shoot, heal, or shoot, heal, right? So you want to be doing as much of everything as you can do on all of these characters, right? And so for immortalities, that means it's nice to save your teammates, but you really want to do it for you, right? For your exo boots, your jump boots, it's you really want to be using your boots, right? Your charge crouch to jump up to high grounds, right? High ground is a very important rule in Overwatch, right? So you want to set yourself up here, and whenever they look at you, you can just back off, right? You also have really nice healing angles, and again, just be careful about lamping your teams, right? Especially if they're not moving through choke points, right? In general, the choke point is the worst place to spend any amount of time in any first-person shooter in ever, right? So you want to be really careful about how much time you're spending in chokes, and if your team isn't moving through a choke, then they might not be worth a lamp, but if they are, then you can lamp them to help them move through that choke, right? Alrighty, now hit that shift key or get that regenerative burst going. That's the other Baptiste ability, right? When you're half HP, that'll help restore you to full, right? Right now, it's really nice. There's not too much to uncover, right? You want to be really careful about taking damage from Freya. You want to hit that regenerative burst, right? Use that ability. Don't die with your cooldowns, right? So even if you're lamping yourself, that's totally fine. By lamp, I'm sorry, I mean the immortality field, right? That E ability. And so, yeah, use your abilities for yourself. Absolutely use your abilities for yourself. And honestly, at the end of the day, you want to really be charging those boots to jump up to this high ground here. That's a very, very important rule of Overwatch, is getting to that high ground position. That's always going to give you the safest spots, the best angles, and the clearest decisions. And you don't even have to stay on high ground. If someone comes up to you to force you off, then you can just jump off of high ground. Same kind of deal. Don't lamp your teammates, at least for a little bit. Spend some time seeing what it's like to, save lamp for yourself and try to either heal your teammates or just let them die, right? That's totally fine as well. Your team composition is Orisa and Mizuki and Bastion. That's a lot of, staying and standing power. Unless enemies are really focusing targets, then you're generally good to, just heal them. And honestly, at the end of the day, the easiest way to heal your teammates is if they're not taking damage, and the easiest way to help them not take damage is to kill whoever's shooting at them, right? So it's definitely worth it to get really comfortable on the aim as well, right? Just a little bit of time in a custom game, right? With VAXTA, VAXTA is the code that I use, right? Now that might be worth a lamp, right? Because this is the Mizuki ultimate. The way that it works is it nullifies projectiles. So anything that goes in from enemies is deleted, but that's not the case for outside. So if you're in the Mizuki ult, it won't delete your ults, and if you're in the Mizuki ult shooting out of it, it won't delete your projectiles. But while you're out shooting in, it deletes all of your projectiles. So even your healing bullets don't go through that, which means maybe that's the one time that I'd be okay with lamping. Hey, your aim actually isn't bad. Nice connections on the Sigma. You should just be doing more of that. More damage, more damage. An easy way to do that is jump up to the high ground and start moving forward, and you have a really nice angle on the Emery and the Mercy, right? Jump up to the height. It's going to give you the clearest options. I like the fact that you're using the boots. Jump up onto this county jail. Marvelous. And then you can just stay up here for the entire fight, right? And you can even charge your boots to get a healing angle, right? Just do a charge jump, and then you can heal your teammates really easily from there, right? Good. I'm actually okay with that lamp. I'm barely okay with that lamp, and I really like that you go for the ultimate cast here. You guys have already captured the point, so it's possible that you don't need to use it here, right? And you actually have some really nice connections. Yeah, I don't know why you were saying that your aim is bad. I actually just don't care that you think your aim is bad. Your aim isn't that bad, and I just want you doing more damage. It's easy to feel like our aim isn't bad when we're looking at the end of the game and we're seeing that we didn't do much damage, and we're thinking, oh, it's because my aim is bad, and not because I was healing my full HP teammates to even more full HP instead of shooting the enemies that are in front of us, right? So yeah, definitely look for opportunities to do more damage, right? And that'll also help you find yourself in more confrontations where you get to learn more about the game. How easy is it going to be to learn about all these different characters, all these different abilities, all these different matchups, all these different rules, right? If you're playing in your team's backlines, not taking any risks yourself, right? How are you going to be able to justify only using the lamp on yourself, like I'm asking you to, if you're not playing in positions and trying to challenge enemies and take duels that necessitate you using lamp on yourself, right? You have to give yourself the chance to make as many mistakes as quickly as possible, and each mistake has to be different from the last. That's the way to improve in Overwatch as quickly as possible. Crick, I have almost I'm up to almost 6,000 hours on this account. I'm definitely 6,000 total hours played. That doesn't even include the amount of Overwatch that I've played, watched, coached, scrimmed, observed, whatever, right? Casted. You can get so much better than me so much quicker if you just go in and make as many mistakes as you possibly can. But again, each mistake has to be newer than the last, right? Early lamp on that one, right? So the Sigma Gravitic Flux is going to have a lift and then a drop, right? So you want to use your defensive utilities, right? That's the Zenyatta Transcendence, the Kiriko Suzu, the Immortality Field, right? The Immortality cooldowns and the huge bursts of healing. You want to use those on the drop and just before it, as opposed to on the lift, right? The lift only does 50 total damage. Only 50 damage. The drop does half of the total HP of whoever he's dropping. And that's not current, that's total, right? So Winston, who's in Primal, will take up to 600 damage on the drop. That's including the 50 damage he takes on the lift and any damage that he takes in the air. Okay, so want to be really, really careful about that. Want to save your immortality field cooldowns or just your huge burst of healing for that drop. Okay, so I prefer a window that is more aggressive, but it's really awesome that you go for the window here and they go for their Mizuki ult, right? So trading ultimates is really a good thing as well. I really like that. I really like that you're landing directs on Baptiste. I don't know if you know this or not, but direct hits on Baptiste's healing grenades yield more healing than area of effect splash healing from his nades. So generally, hitting your teammates with the nades is the way to heal more, but the way to heal more reliably, obviously, is to just splash the ground, right? And so make sure that you're getting a nice mix of both, right? Where you can heal your teammates. Use your jump boots to dodge this. Perfect. Yep, he's going to fly around in the air and be kind of hard to hit, but he's also going to be, you're going to be hard to hit if you can fly around in the air as well. It's very hard for two targets who are both flying to hit each other. So I really like the way that you play that matchup. And remember, again, just make sure that we're weaving damage and healing in and out, in and out, in and out, right? Here is actually really interesting where you end up getting caught in the flux. It's really unfortunate that you're a couple of seconds off of that cooldown. You might have been able to play your spacing. You might have been able to jump up to this high ground. You might have been able to off angle to this mega or set up over here instead of just walking up the main angle. Remember, we want to play close to our walls, corners, and covers. Never more than about 1.5 meters away from those at any point in time, right? So generally, I feel like you actually have a pretty good awareness of some of the threats that you have to be careful of, some of the timings that you have to do damage. We're a little out in the open here. Remember, walls, corners, and covers, right? That's going to be an FPS fundamental that we have to stick very, very close to, right? I like that we MR ourselves, right? So we are understanding, we do understand that we have to keep ourselves safe in order to heal our team. The Emery's in front of us, so we have to damage, but remember, we want to damage and heal, right? So, ooh, that's okay. The window placement is a-okay. And I honestly like that we just get to place that, right? It would be terrible if the round ended and we hadn't used our ults. Crick, don't lose this, by the way. Don't lose this. I beg of you, as you climb up from bronze to silver to gold, platinum, however high you get, if it's as high as champion, then it will be because when you have your ult, you are using it. I really like that you're doing that. You don't always have the best placement, right? You can definitely place it a little closer, a little more aggressively. You can place it only for yourself. You can put it in front of your team. You can put it down in front of an area to make it scary for enemy teams to walk through. You can put it down, you can put it down far away to make them turn around, right? Whatever, right? Just use it. Use it. That way you can build it again as quickly as possible. I feel like you played okay so far, Crick. I feel like you're lying a little bit about things like that your aim is a major weakness, that you don't know enough to be able to compete, right? I think that you know just enough to be competitive at the place that you're in, and then to even punch even a little bit above that, right? And that way you can learn some of the more intricate interactions, some of the matchups, right? But overall, I think stuff is pretty good so far. Now, be careful. You're swinging really wide here. This is really risky here, right? And as soon as you swing wide, you want to be thinking about getting about what your escape plan is going to look like. That's a nicely timed lamp, but it's nice if we don't have to throw that lamp, right? It's nice if we have that lamp for ourselves when we need it, if we need it within the next 12 seconds, which we might not need it, right? But we also want to understand that generally the higher we play, because you will end up playing higher, the faster people play, right? So we're not going to spend nearly as much time in chokes, because remember, the chokes are horrible places to play, right? Really nice connection on the Sigma, but you really want to make sure that you understand these maps and how to navigate them, and that you don't want to spend too much time down here. You want to get up to this high ground, although I really like the fact that you're running after this mega health pack and getting a little bit of map control. Overwatch 2 boils down to 2 core principles. I haven't gotten to say this in a couple of VOD reviews, so I'm happy about this. It's timing and map control. When am I doing things and where am I doing them, right? So right now we're fighting this Freya, right? A little inopportune because our Orisa might be able to use healing, but we're fighting her from high ground, which is why we win the duel, right? So a little bit of timing, a little bit of map control, and we see that we'll end up having to reset for the next fight with our team. But we get to see a little, what that looks like like an action, right? You have the map control to compete against the Freya, even though you don't have the timing of that duel to help your horse, to help your Orisa. Sorry, we call her the horse, right? Now, honestly, I imagine that you can buy yourself a little bit of time, right? The Orisa has a ton of cooldowns to help herself live as long as possible. The higher up you rank as well, the longer Orisas are generally going to live. Because one way to not take damage is to, one way to get healed faster is to not take damage, right? If you have less healing that is missing, you have less health that is missing, you have less healing that you'll need, right? I think I like the way that you use these cooldowns. Hold on, let me go back and look. Okay, yeah. Using your shift after the drop is really perfect. Yeah. So you do understand these matchups. That's really excellent. So generally, the higher up you rank, your tanks are going to be better and better about not taking damage that they can't justify, right? And so usually you might find that it's actually possible for you to sit there and take the duel with Freya and trust that your horse isn't going to die until after you've managed to wrap things up with her. It's crazy that Mizuki ult doesn't block Sigma Rock. I learned that the other day, but Sigma Rock actually does go through Mizuki ult. That's why you got stunned there with the accretion. Mercy's going for Valk. She's doing it in... she's going for Res. She's doing it in Valk, so she's very hard to hit there. I can't blame you for going for those... for not going for those shots, but you really should in general, right? Try to pressure Mercy out, as much as possible. You want to force her to move constantly, to retether and untether from targets. You want to force her to decide, am I going to heal this target? Am I going to damage boost this target, right? You can get Mercy to stop damage boosting by shooting whoever she's damage boosting so that she needs to heal them instead, and if she's healing them, then it doesn't take then they aren't able to kill you as fast, right? Because of that, that's the difference between heal and damage amplification, right? The blue beam and the yellow beam, right? And then you also just don't want her to revive for free. Sometimes shooting a Mercy might help, to kind of goad her off of it, right? But also, it's just good practice too. And you were in a good position to shoot her. I like you being able to play on top of the county jail. As you climb up the ladder, you'll want to use more and more of the map, though. Okay, good. Yep, use the boots to dodge the shots. Although if he's not shooting at you, you might be all right, right? You can probably just, hunker down near this corner and just shoot your tank, right? Closer walls, corners, covers. We're spending a lot of time out in the open. I like that we go for the window cast here. This one is actually pretty operable as well. Though the payload, we do have to understand the payload as an obstruction, right? So could we have gone for a window placement over here? And might that also help our Bastion while he's in his assault configuration, his shift, right? And he does so much damage, especially through a window on that one, right? So it's important to track our teammates' cooldowns. Now, this is fairly high level, right? But if you see your Bastion go for his assault form, right, and then I think that's about a 12-second cooldown, right? And so if you see him go for his assault form, and then you're like, okay, well, I know he's gonna have that assault form here in about maybe 10, 12 seconds, I'll save my window for that. And then I'll look for him, see where he's playing, so that I can place window in front of him when he goes for that form, right? Might be a great way for you to capitalize on an interaction between these two characters. We're often known to say on my team, all it takes to win a fight is an ult and a cooldown, right? Be careful about insta-lamping your horse. Again, I would really just save lamps for you for now. Going forward, I would just lamp yourself, shift yourself, use all of your abilities for yourself, because you're the one who's going to have to keep the team alive, and you can't do that if you're dead. And honestly, your team has ways that they can live, not the least of which is simply not taking the damage that they are. Crick, I hope that this feedback was helpful for you. We didn't really end up on any major takeaways. It's all just a bunch of little bits and pieces. But, honestly, if you're putting together a Lego set, you do have to start or eventually end up with a bag that has a bunch of variant pieces. And you have to go from there, right? So whether it's some of our core principles, like starting on the high ground, ulting when you have it, closer to walls, corners, and covers, right? And using our cooldowns for ourselves and trusting our teammates to use their cooldowns for themselves so that we can combo our best abilities with their best abilities, right? So that we can all live as long as possible during these fights and get as much value as we can so that we can either compete on or play for the objective, right? Whether it's those or the little bits and pieces, like you want to be careful about taking too much damage from Freya in particular, or you want to use your cooldowns, your healing and immortality cooldowns at a specific time in response to the Sigma flux, or you want to play in a certain position for your tank, right? You know, hopefully you've got a couple of ideas about how you can make your next series of games a little more playable. I would personally start with the big picture ideas, right? And that's going to be closer to walls, corners, covers, doing all of the different things that your character does, right? So he heals, he makes our mortality, he keeps himself safe, right? Most importantly, but also he does a lot of damage, and I would be doing a lot more damage. I would actually go through, like, I would play quick play for a couple of sessions where you aren't even healing, where you're just doing damage, and get some practice in. At the end of the day, and hopefully I said, I think this is the VOD review where I said it. Sorry, it all blends together at one point, guys. At the end of the day, if there's nothing else you get out of this VOD review, it is this. And this is important all the way up to champion. If you want to rank up, get on the ladder, go in, stop caring so much, and make as many mistakes, as many new mistakes, as quickly as possible. That's the way to rank up. That way you know what you can get away with, what you get punished for, how you get punished for it, how you can get away with it, what you can do differently next time, what you can do better next time, what your enemies do better, how you can learn from that. Sometimes there's so much to learn just by watching the kill cam, by the way. So don't be a kill cam skipper either. Watch and see how people shut you down. And that's going to teach you so incredibly much, especially if you're watching the kill cam after making a new mistake, right? That gives you a little bit of perspective. And honestly, you know, I didn't start playing better on Zenyatta until I started playing a little bit of Tracer, who's like one of his counters, especially during Overwatch 1 era, right? And so at the end of the day, one of the things that might have helped me as Zenyatta, right, is to watch the kill cams of the Tracers. So that then when I start playing Tracer, I know how to kill the Zenyatas. And if I know how to kill the Zenyatas as Tracer and I get good at that, then I'll be able to get good at Zenyatta and understand how Tracers want to fight against her. Hopefully that makes sense. And that's where we are going to leave the feedback. Crick, thank you so much for submitting the replay code. I apologize for the amount of time that it took to get these out. But I am so thankful that I got the opportunity to take a look at this before the patch, mid-season patch wipes out these replay codes. Like I said, I hope that some of this was feedback was helpful. And guys, if you are interested in you know, these 1 hour one-on-one coaching sessions. I mean, this one is an hour, but you know, I'm just saying, ooh, that's a lot of red. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching sessions, then you know, reach out to me. We can see about setting something up. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoy kind of the you know, lightning quick, kind of run through the VOD, get the core ideas kind of style videos. There's definitely a lot more of them around the corner, and hopefully we'll get to a point where, you know, we get to have some pretty advanced techs and toys like a spreadsheet of our own, little way to submit our own replay codes, and lots of other fun little toys. Hopefully streams start again soon, but I don't have a timeline on that quite yet. Guys, thanks for bearing with me, and for watching the video. If you guys found it insightful or entertaining, then feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe, the whole YouTube spiel, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the next one. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Be good to each other, be fair to yourselves, and I'll see you guys again next time.